Damn. This Atlanta dream has turned into a nightmare overnight. This is bad. Peace up, A-Town.
A nightmare overnight. That's the phrase for a team sitting fourth in the entire league. Something is badly wrong in Atlanta right now. And the strangest part is who the star just decided to blame for it. Not the referees, not the schedule, her own fans.
Down. It's not looking too good. The Atlanta Dream just lost 4 in a row. They lost to the Washington Mystics without Sonia Citron. They're on the brink of losing 5 in a row. They got the Golden State Valkyries next. And Atlanta, Angel Reese just crashed out on the Atlanta Dream fans. Yeah, that's right. She's pissed at the Atlanta Dream fans for not voting her into the All-Star.
There are two stories tangled together here, and you need both to understand any of it. Story 1. The Atlanta Dream just lost 4 games in a row. Story 2. Angel Reese got left off the All-Star starting lineup. She is furious about it, and she pointed the finger straight at the people buying the tickets. Most channels will tell you the snub is the scandal. It isn't. The part that should actually keep Dream fans up at night comes later, because once you see how this vote really worked, the villain Reese is describing might not even exist.
Angel Reese said it's disrespectful for Dream to have no all-star starters. And she took shots at the fans in this interview. And, you know, she claimed she stayed away from the media because the media has been so rough on her the last...
Back up for a second, because the context is everything. Angel Reese is only in Atlanta because of a blockbuster. On April 6th, the Chicago Sky traded her to the Dream for 2 first-round picks. Atlanta's own firsts in 2027 and 2028. It was one of the loudest moves of the offseason. Reese had just led the entire league in rebounding. She is a 2-time All-Star, and reporting at the time said she didn't even request the trade. The Sky worked to find her a new home after she'd made it clear she wanted to be surrounded by better players. Her words last fall were that she wasn't settling, she wanted to win. Off the court, she'd become one of the biggest names in the sport. The first athlete to walk in the Victoria's Secret show with her own signature shoe. So this was the fresh start she asked for. A 30-win team, a real contender, a city that wanted her. And she said she went quiet with the media this season because the last couple of years wore her down. So when Reese finally breaks that silence, you know it's about something personal. This was it.
Base Thursday saying it was disrespectful that no one on the Atlanta Dream was selected as a starter. The Dream 12-8 were tied atop the Eastern Conference standings following Thursday night's loss to the Washington Mystics. Okay, they were 12-4. They're now 12-8. It's getting bad fast over there.
Here's what set her off. On July 2nd, the WNBA revealed the 10 starters for the All-Star game, set for the 25th in Chicago. The Indiana Fever landed 3 of them: Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell. Dallas got 2, Minnesota got 2, and Las Vegas, New York, and Golden State each got 1. The Atlanta Dream, a team that walked into that day 4th in the league at 12-7, got 0. Not a single starter. Reese spoke to reporters before Thursday's game, and hours later, the Dream lost, 81-76 to the Washington Mystics, a Mystics team that was missing Sonia Citron, led instead by Shakira Austin and Kiki Iriafen. So a record that was 12-4 just a couple of weeks ago is now 12-8, and the snub landed in the exact middle of the worst stretch of their season.
Here it says Reese, a 2-time All-Star, was especially upset for the Dream guards Rhyne Howard and Allisha Gray. She said, "I expected to be disrespected. I expect to be disrespected," Reese said. For those two, though, I think they work so hard. They put a lot of work in the way that they're guarded every game, and they have to adjust. The reason why we're where we are is because of those two. Y'all lost 4 in a row, so I don't even know if that's the thing to be saying. She said, for us not to have anyone was just...
Now listen to how she framed it, because this is the line everyone is clipping. She expects to be disrespected. She's fine taking that hit herself. What she could not stomach was 2 of her teammates getting left out, guards Rhyne Howard and Allisha Gray. And she is not wrong that they're good. Gray finished 4th in MVP voting last season and is putting up better than 18 points a game. Howard is one of the fastest scorers in franchise history. Reese herself is averaging roughly 13 points and close to a dozen rebounds a night, so she's no passenger either. But she basically said the only reason the Dream are where they are is because of those two, that leaving every one of them off the starting five was a slap in the face, and that they weren't going to say anything about it, so she would. That's a captain move, standing up for your guards. But standing up for them and being right about why it happened are two very different things, and that gap is where this whole story lives.
And then she said, congrats to the ones that were nominated. They were well-deserved, but it's a very big shocker to me that none of us were starters, especially where we are as a team in the league. I'm sure we're still going to be all-stars. I have no doubt in my mind that we will still be, but I think it's important to note that none of us were selected as starters. And that has to be so much success on a team that has had so much success this year.
She kept going, and she gave the nominees their due. Congratulations to the ones who made it, all deserving. But she called it a genuine shocker that nobody from Atlanta got in, especially on a team having this much success. On paper, that argument sounds airtight. Fourth best record in the league, second best team in all of basketball a year ago, and you can't push a single player into the starting lineup of an exhibition? That sounds broken. She also made a point of saying she has no doubt all three of them still make the team as reserves, and Atlanta's own head coach, Carl Smesko, echoed that, calling the whole thing really disappointing while admitting the Dream simply didn't pull the fan votes they needed. So this was never about being snubbed off the roster entirely. It was specifically about being denied a starting spot. And to understand why that happened, you have to stop staring at the standings and start reading the ballots, because the standings had almost nothing to do with it.
Okay. She also said, this is where you got to get into where she came at the fans. I haven't really said much this year in the media because honestly, it's been tough for me over the last 2 years, Reese said. But I feel like it was important for me to speak for my teammates that don't necessarily speak for themselves all the time. I know the work they put in. I know the reason why I'm in Atlanta is because of them. I know that the team's success is based off those two.
And there's a layer here that's easy to miss if you only see the angry headline. Reese explained why she's the one at the podium saying this. She said she has barely spoken to the media all year because the last 2 seasons had been so hard on her personally, but she felt she had to speak for teammates who don't always speak up for themselves. That's the part that complicates the villain edit. Whatever you think of how she said it, she wasn't campaigning for herself. She went out of her way to say she's fine being the target. She was trying to carry the water for Howard and Gray, players who, by every account, kept their heads down and said nothing. So the instinct is genuinely a good one. A star using her platform to defend teammates who won't defend themselves is exactly what you want from a franchise face. The problem is never the instinct. The problem is the target she picked, and she was about to aim it directly at the fans.
Reese says she wishes Dream fans would have galvanized around their players more. She wishes the fans, so she's blaming the Dream fans for her not getting enough votes and being a starter, and Rhyne Howard and Allisha Gray not getting enough votes and being a starter. So you can see right there, she came at the fans. She's not happy. She felt like, yo, the fans didn't do what they were supposed to do.
This is the turn. Reese didn't just complain about the result. She said she wished Dream fans had galvanized around their players more. Sit with that. She is telling the Atlanta fan base out loud that they didn't show up in the voting. It's a wild thing to say into a microphone, and it's also, mathematically, the most honest thing she said all day. The All-Star starter vote is not the eye test. Fans are 50% of it. Players are 25%. Media are the final 25%. And when you pull the real breakdown, Angel Reese finished 6th among forwards with the fans, 6th with the media, and 6th with the players. 6th, 6th, 6th. Almost perfectly consistent. By every single group's ranking, she was the last one in, and the weighting nudged her to 7th overall, 1 spot outside the cutoff. So the slap in the face wasn't a conspiracy, it was a rounding error. And that 50% she needed to move the needle is the exact group she just called out from the podium.
Players were sent ballots via email. The Spark said in a statement to ESPN, some players indicated they didn't even receive the email or weren't aware of it until after the voting period had closed. That's something we take responsibility for as an organization. We'll have more robust process going forward.
Now, the process itself was genuinely messy, and that's worth saying. According to reports, the video points to at least one franchise put out a statement admitting some of its players never even received the voting ballot by email, or didn't know it existed until after the window had closed, and promised a more robust process going forward. So the player portion had real holes. But that is not why the dream got shut out. And this next piece is the part almost nobody talks about. Rhyne Howard is listed on the ballot as a guard, even though she actually plays the wing. That matters enormously because voters select 4 guards and 6 frontcourt players. 6 spots up front, only 4 in the backcourt. Howard drew more than 300,000 fan votes and still finished 9th among guards, buried in a loaded field. And here's the kicker. She was 4th on the media's ballots and 2nd among the players. Her own peers had her as a starter. The fans dragged the whole thing down. As a forward, she might have cruised in, and Gabby Williams slid into a front court spot instead and became the first All-Star starter in Golden State Valkyries history. Analysts are already floating a fix: 4 guards, 4 front court players, and 2 flexible spots, precisely because of cases like Howard's. And then there's the contrast that explains this entire system in one line. Caitlin Clark finished 11th among guards with the players, 11th, and still got named a starter because the fans carried her there. The same fan vote that lifted Clark is the one that sank Atlanta. The dream didn't get robbed, they got outvoted.
Angel Reese, y'all just dropped 4 in a row. You guys just lost to the Washington Mystics without Sonia Citron. Angel Reese shot 6 of 15, 13 points, 13 rebounds. Rhyne Howard, 8 of 20. Allisha Gray, 0 of 5 from 3, 7 of 16 for the floor. Y'all just ain't been good the last 4 games, bro. I don't know what's going on, but y'all was 12-4. Y'all are now 12-8. That's not good. That's not good. Y'all looking like frauds. Y'all looking real shaky.
And while everyone argues about the ballot, the actual basketball is coming apart, and Reese's week just got more expensive. In that loss to Washington, she was hit with a technical foul in the 3rd quarter, and the sequence is almost too fitting. She scored a tough layup over Shakira Austin. Washington challenged the foul that had been called. The officials reviewed it and wiped it out, and then turned around and gave Reese a technical for swinging her arm and catching Austin in the face. That was her 6th technical of the season. Under league rules, technicals 4 through 7 each carry a $1,000 fine, so she's out another $1,000. But the number that actually matters is 8. 8 technical fouls is an automatic 1-game suspension, and she is now 2 away. She'd already gotten a formal warning letter from the league after number 5, and she leads the entire league in flagrant fouls this year. If that pattern sounds familiar, it should. She hit that exact limit last season in Chicago, picked up an 8th technical, and got suspended, with the team scrambling to have it rescinded. So while she's blaming the fans for the snub, she is 2 bad reactions away from watching a game from the bench.
Angel Reese and the Dream lose 4 in a row. Tonight they lose 76-81 to the Mystics without Sonia Citron. Angel Reese's field goal percentage in the last 4 games, 40%, 36%, 25%, and 30%. This is bad. This is very bad. Now,
the shooting tells the rest of it. Across these last 4 losses, Reese's field goal percentage went 40, then 36, then 25, then 30. That's a real slump for a player who usually overwhelms people in the paint. But I want to be fair, because the take that Atlanta is a fraud isn't right either. On the same night, she shot 6 of 15. Angel Reese made history. She grabbed the 400th offensive rebound of her career and tied the Hall of Famer Yolanda Griffith for the fastest player ever to reach that mark, doing it in just 84 games. Rhyne Howard still dropped 24 in that loss. Allisha Gray added 17. The Stars are still generating points. What's missing is efficiency and a little bit of luck. An 8 of 20 night from Howard here, a cold shooting stretch from Reese there, and suddenly a team that was 12-4 is bleeding out. This is not a talent problem. This roster still has Naz Hillman, the reigning 6th player of the year, and Brianna Jones anchoring the front court. It's a timing problem, and the timing could not possibly be worse.
We talk about it, we try to play through it, but it's hard when only one team is allowed to play that way. I think we're doing as best we can to keep our composure. We're doing as best we can to continue to play through it, but at some point something has to give. So like Jason, coach said, we're being tested as we have been all season. It's not just these last 4 games, but we just have to figure out what we can continue to do to make sure that things still go our way, even though it seems that people don't want it to.
You can hear what all of it has done to the locker room. That's Jordan Canada, a starting guard, a double-digit scorer, describing a team that feels the entire world is tilted against it, being tested, only one side allowed to play a certain way. The feeling that people simply don't want them to win. Now connect the dots. Reese thinks the fans failed them. Canada thinks the officials are failing them. This is a group that went from the top of the league to a 4-game skid, got shut out of the all-star starting lineup, and has collectively decided the problem is everyone else. Even in freefall, Atlanta is still a top 5 team in the league, which tells you how good they were before this and how fast it can slip. Sometimes a team like that takes the chip on its shoulder and rips off a run. Sometimes it curdles into a season of excuses. Which one Atlanta becomes is the entire back half of their year, and it starts with what Canada said next, because on the officiating, she did not hold a thing back.
And to touch on that, I'm going to get fined, so I don't really care. But I think tonight, the officiating was awful, horrible. I think in the crucial point of the game, when they started to make a run, I think the officiating kind of helped them out, to be honest. I think in the beginning of the game, when I got my second foul call, which wasn't a foul, Ashley came to me and said, you know what, I was wrong, it's not a foul. But that doesn't help me, because now I have 2 fouls. The same call that I got called for.
She said flatly that the officiating was awful, that it was horrible, and that in the exact stretch where Washington made its run, the referees helped them do it. Then she gave a detail that genuinely stings. Early in the game, she got called for her second foul, and later, she says, the official walked over and personally admitted to her that he'd gotten it wrong, that it wasn't a foul, which, as she pointed out, does nothing for her, because she is already carrying 2 fouls and playing tentative the rest of the way. So is she right? Partly, probably. Referees miss calls, and one owning it in the moment is real, and it's rare. But this is also where a skeptic has to push back, because a team that shoots 8 of 20 and loses to a shorthanded opponent did not lose at the officials' table. You can be honestly wronged by the referees and still be the reason you lost. Both things can live in the same box score.
Maybe it was in the 3rd or 4th quarter when I ran over Shakira, when I clearly touched the ball first to get to it, but it was foul on me. A few possessions later, Flores did the same thing to me as I dove on the floor, and it wasn't a foul call on her. I don't know how many times Angel has to get beat up in the paint for her to get a foul call. It was blatant tonight. Every time she had a fast break layup, she was getting hacked. In the paint, she was getting hacked, no foul call.
And this is the contradiction sitting at the dead center of Angel Reese's entire season, and Canada put her finger right on it. Her teammates stood at that podium and asked how many times Angel has to get beaten up in the paint before she gets a whistle, that she's getting hacked on fast break layups with no call, that it was blatant, and there's truth in it. Reese absorbs a brutal amount of contact every night. But look at the paradox. This is the same league, in the same season, that introduced a task force to crack down on exactly this kind of physical play. The same league flagging Reese as the aggressor, piling up the technicals, the flagrants, the fine, the warning letter. So which is she? The most fouled star in the game, or the most penalized? Her own teammate says she's the one getting mugged. The referees keep treating her as the one doing the mugging. At one game earlier this year, the crowd was chanting at the officials on her behalf. And Reese is stuck in the middle of that argument while her team tries to stop the bleeding. What comes next is easy to say and hard to do. Saturday, they are home against the Golden State Valkyries to open a 4-game homestand. 4 games to rescue a season that was cruising a month ago. The All-Star reserves get announced any day, and Coach Smesko has already said he fully expects all 3 of his stars to make it. And that suspension clock keeps ticking on Reese every time she looks at a referee the wrong way. So I'll hand it to you. Is Angel Reese right that this is disrespect? Or did her own fan base simply not turn out to vote? And is she making everything worse by picking fights with the fans, the refs, and the league all at once while her team falls apart around her? Tell me exactly where you land in the comments. And if you want the full breakdown, the second those reserves drop and we find out whether she was right all along, subscribe and hit the bell so it hits your feed first.